hidden agendas of 9 famous individuals who've quietly supported some of the world's most controversial ventures. Let's uncover the secrets they've kept from the spotlight. 1. George Clooney. The dark side of satellite surveillance in South Sudan. George Clooney, Hollywood's beloved leading man, humanitarian, and activist, has long been vocal about human rights issues, particularly concerning Africa. Most notably, Clooney has championed the plight of the people in Sudan and South Sudan, criticizing the violent regime of Sudanese dictator Omar al-Bashir. But behind the star power, Clooney has quietly been funding a highly controversial satellite surveillance program in one of the world's most volatile regions, South Sudan. Clooney's project, known as the Sentinel Project, uses sophisticated satellite technology to track human rights abuses, potential war crimes, and the movements of militias in South Sudan. While the public knows that Clooney supports the initiative, few are aware of the vast personal fortune he has funneled into making this surveillance system a reality. The idea of using satellite imagery to expose atrocities might sound noble, but it has opened the door to significant controversy. Critics argue that this kind of monitoring crosses ethical lines. By closely tracking military movements and government actions, Clooney's satellites have been accused of functioning as an invasive surveillance tool that undermines national sovereignty. In essence, the satellites can track almost any action happening on the ground, whether by militias or government forces. This, say some experts, may cause militia groups to go underground or shift their operations to more covert tactics, possibly intensifying violence rather than mitigating it. Moreover, some African leaders, particularly in Sudan, have accused Clooney of modern-day colonialism. By using his wealth to monitor and expose activities in Africa without local input or oversight, Clooney's project is seen by some as a neo-imperialistic endeavor, an extension of Western control and influence under the guise of humanitarian work. Clooney, on the other hand, insists that the project's goal is simple: to shed light on the darkest atrocities and hold warlords accountable. But the question remains, is Clooney a well-meaning humanitarian, or is he blurring the lines between celebrity activism and a more ominous form of modern surveillance? As more data about his project comes to light, the ethics of celebrity involvement in geopolitical conflicts continue to be debated. 2. Elon Musk. Neuralink and the ethical dilemmas of merging humans with machines. Elon Musk, tech visionary and billionaire, is known for pushing boundaries in the world of technology. From electric cars to space travel, Musk's ventures have been nothing short of revolutionary. However, one of his most ambitious and highly controversial projects is Neuralink, a brain-machine interface designed to enhance human cognition by merging our minds with artificial intelligence. While the world has been fascinated by the futuristic possibilities of Neuralink, Musk's secret funding of deeper, darker research into neural manipulation is less known. Neuralink is advertised as a medical marvel, offering the potential to help people with debilitating conditions like paralysis, Alzheimer's, or Parkinson's disease by allowing them to control devices with their thoughts. However, behind the scenes, Musk has quietly funneled money into projects with far more controversial implications: research into military applications and cognitive enhancement for soldiers. In partnership with defense agencies, Neuralink's technology is being explored as a tool for enhancing soldiers' cognitive functions on the battlefield, from increasing memory retention to reducing the effects of PTSD. More troubling still, there are reports of early experiments into mind control technologies that could, in theory, allow military leaders to remotely influence the thoughts and actions of soldiers in real time. This secret funding of military brain research has led to a significant ethical debate. Is Musk using his Neuralink venture to help people with disabilities? Or is he laying the groundwork for the future of biological warfare? Critics argue that merging the human brain with machines could open the door to unprecedented manipulation, turning soldiers and potentially civilians into pawns in a game of high-tech warfare. If the government can tap into our minds, what freedoms are left? Musk remains largely elusive on this front, often downplaying the darker applications of Neuralink. However, the possibility of military brain enhancements raises critical questions about the ethical boundaries of merging human consciousness with AI. Is Musk preparing to revolutionize medical science? Or is he creating a future where the human mind is no longer sovereign? 3. Oprah Winfrey, rogue medical clinics in Haiti, and the dark side of philanthropy. Oprah Winfrey is widely regarded as one of the most generous philanthropists of our time, funding projects ranging from education to disaster relief in some of the world's poorest regions. But buried beneath her glowing public image is a secret that few are aware of. Oprah has been quietly financing unregulated medical clinics in Haiti that perform experimental surgeries on local patients. Treatments so controversial they would be illegal in the U.S. Following the devastating earthquake in 2010, Haiti became a hotbed of international aid efforts, with organizations rushing to help the country's vulnerable population. Oprah, always at the forefront of humanitarian aid, made headlines for her large donations to various recovery projects. However, some of those funds found their way into rogue medical clinics that operate outside the realm of mainstream medical oversight. These clinics, run by Western doctors, have reportedly been performing radical, untested procedures on Haitian patients, many of whom are desperate for care but unaware of the risks involved. The treatments in question range from unproven gene therapies to experimental surgical techniques that have been banned in the United States due to their dangerous side effects. Sources close to the clinics claim that some patients have suffered severe complications, including infections, organ damage, and, in a few cases, death. Critics argue that these clinics are exploiting Haiti's vulnerable population, using them as guinea pigs for high-risk procedures that would never be allowed in wealthier nations. Despite the secrecy, leaked financial documents have shown Oprah's deep financial ties to several shadowy medical firms that support these clinics. Her involvement has never been officially acknowledged, and she has remained silent on the matter. Is Oprah using her wealth and influence to bring cutting-edge medical treatments to a neglected population? Or has she crossed a line into a dangerous, unregulated medical underworld? The blurred lines between charity and exploitation continue to haunt her legacy in Haiti. 4. Jay-Z, profiting from mercenary firms with dark histories. Jay-Z, the legendary rapper turned billionaire businessman, has built a public persona centered around advocating for social justice, prison reform, and racial equality. His ventures into the business world, from music streaming to sports management, are seen as extensions of his commitment to uplifting marginalized communities. However, there's a dark side to his business empire that few people know about. Jay-Z has quietly invested millions in a private security firm linked to Blackwater, the controversial mercenary organization infamous for its brutal conduct during the Iraq War. Blackwater, now operating under the name Academy, has been implicated in war crimes and human rights abuses, making Jay-Z's connection to the company particularly unsettling. Through a series of shell companies, Jay-Z has been tied to investments in a firm that provides military-grade security to high-profile clients, including billionaires, politicians, and even foreign governments with questionable human rights records. Some reports have even linked his firm to contracts with authoritarian regimes in the Middle East and Africa, raising ethical concerns about his investments. The security firm has allegedly been involved in providing protection for regimes accused of suppressing dissent and committing atrocities against their own people. This stands in stark contrast to Jay-Z's public persona as a champion for justice and human rights. Many see his investments in such a controversial industry as hypocritical, accusing him of profiting off oppression while publicly advocating for reform. Is Jay-Z leveraging his wealth to fight for the marginalized? Or is he quietly benefiting from the very systems of power and violence that he claims to oppose? The dichotomy between his public activism and private dealings remains a subject of intense debate. 5. Lady Gaga, the CIA's secret weapon in psychological warfare. Lady Gaga is one of the most innovative and controversial artists of her generation, known for pushing the boundaries of pop music and art. However, what fans might not know is that Gaga has been involved in a shadowy CIA-backed project that explores the use of music as a tool for psychological warfare. Leaked documents suggest that Gaga has been secretly collaborating with intelligence agencies to study how music can be used to influence and manipulate the minds of mass populations. It's long been known that music has profound psychological effects, but Gaga's involvement in this project takes it to a whole new level. According to whistleblowers, the CIA has been experimenting with subliminal messaging embedded in popular music, using it as a tool to shape public opinion, control political movements, and even induce certain emotional states. Gaga, with her provocative imagery and complex musical arrangements, has been a key figure in these experiments. Some conspiracy theorists believe that many of Gaga's music videos and stage performances are packed with subliminal messages and psychological triggers designed to influence her audience on a subconscious level. From her use of religious and occult imagery to the cryptic messages woven into her lyrics, Gaga's art has been analyzed as part of a larger psychological operation. The implications of these experiments are profound. Could one of the world's most influential pop stars be part of a government plan to control minds through music? And if so, what are the ethical boundaries of such a project? Gaga has never publicly commented on these allegations, but her deep ties to intelligence-backed psychological research remain one of the most fascinating and controversial chapters of her career. 6. Bill Gates, geoengineering and the hidden battle to control the climate. Bill Gates is no stranger to controversy, but most of it stems from his work in vaccines and global health. Less known is his secret involvement in the highly controversial field of geoengineering, specifically projects designed to manipulate the Earth's climate. Gates has quietly funded research into solar radiation management, SRM, a controversial method of reflecting sunlight back into space to cool the planet and combat global warming. On the surface, SRM seems like a bold and innovative solution to climate change. However, critics argue that tampering with the planet's climate system could have catastrophic unintended consequences. Altering weather patterns on such a large scale could trigger droughts, floods, or extreme storms in regions that are already vulnerable to climate instability. In essence, SRM represents a form of climate manipulation that could shift the balance of weather systems around the globe. What makes this even more controversial is the secrecy surrounding these experiments. While Gates has publicly mentioned his interest in geoengineering, the depth of his financial involvement and the scale of these projects have largely been kept under wraps. Some environmentalists have accused Gates of playing God with the climate, warning that his interventions could create new problems far worse than the ones they are trying to solve. The potential for a small group of wealthy individuals to control the weather raises ethical concerns about who should have the power to make decisions that affect the entire planet. Is Gates saving the planet from the ravages of climate change? Or is he opening Pandora's box, unleashing forces that humanity may not be able to control? His involvement in geoengineering adds another layer of complexity to the already heated debate over climate intervention. 7. Kanye West, Wyoming, religious extremism, and the making of a modern cult. Kanye West is no stranger to controversy, but his recent activities on his Wyoming ranch have led to whispers of something far more unsettling than his usual antics. What began as an artistic retreat has evolved into something many are now calling a cult. West has been secretly funneling money into the creation of a religious commune where his select followers live, cut off from the outside world, and are subject to his unorthodox teachings. West's Wyoming property has become a place of isolation, where his followers engage in daily rituals that combine elements of Christianity, New Age philosophy, and Kanye's own personal ideology. Reports from insiders suggest that these followers are not just fans. They are members of a community that exhibits many of the hallmarks of a cult: isolation, devotion to a single charismatic leader, and an unwavering belief in Kanye's divinity. West's influence over his followers has raised alarms. Some have described intense brainwashing techniques, emotional manipulation, and a strict code of behavior enforced within the commune. While Kanye's Sunday service events have been public spectacles, his private activities in Wyoming seem to be building towards something much more secretive and dangerous. As Kanye's rhetoric becomes more erratic, the lines between religion, art, and control blur. Is Kanye creating a new spiritual movement? Or has he crossed into the realm of religious extremism, using his fame and fortune to manipulate vulnerable followers? His actions in Wyoming have fueled speculation about what lies beneath the surface of his creative genius. 8. Leonardo DiCaprio, funding eco-terrorism in the name of environmentalism. Leonardo DiCaprio is Hollywood's poster boy for environmental activism, using his platform to raise awareness about climate change and advocate for sustainable practices. But behind the public image of a dedicated environmentalist lies a much more controversial reality. DiCaprio has been secretly funding radical environmentalist groups, some of which have been accused of engaging in eco-terrorism. These groups, operating under the banner of environmental justice, have been involved in direct action tactics that go beyond peaceful protest. From sabotage to arson, they have been implicated in violent acts intended to disrupt industries they see as harmful to the planet, such as oil drilling, mining, and deforestation. DiCaprio, through his foundations, has funneled millions into organizations that have been linked to these tactics, raising serious ethical questions about his role in promoting extreme measures to combat climate change. While DiCaprio has publicly distanced himself from violent activism, leaked documents show a direct financial connection to groups under investigation for their aggressive tactics. Is DiCaprio simply a passionate environmentalist who believes in radical action, or is he complicit in funding groups willing to break the law to achieve their goals? The debate over the ethics of eco-terrorism has cast a shadow over his legacy as an environmental crusader. 9. Jeff Bezos, space colonization or space weaponization. Jeff Bezos has made no secret of his ambitions for space exploration, with his company Blue Origin at the forefront of the private space race. However, what the public doesn't know is that Bezos has been quietly funding a project far more controversial than space tourism: the weaponization of space. Through secretive contracts with the U.S. military and private defense companies, Bezos has been pouring billions into the development of space-based weapon systems. These systems, capable of tracking movements on Earth from space, could potentially be used to monitor global activities in real time, giving those who control the satellites unprecedented surveillance power. Even more troubling is the potential for space-based weapons to shift the global balance of power. With Bezos's wealth and influence, he could play a key role in militarizing space, turning it into the next frontier for global conflict. Critics argue that his space endeavors blur the lines between exploration and domination, raising ethical concerns about who controls the future of space. Is Bezos pioneering a new age of exploration, or is he quietly building the foundations for a dystopian future where corporations dominate not only the Earth, but the final frontier as well? Through their secretive and often controversial funding, these 9 famous figures remind us that even those we admire may be involved in projects that challenge our perceptions of morality, ethics, and power. Whether they are heroes, villains, or something in between, their hidden agendas force us to question the true impact of wealth and influence on the world's most pressing issues.